Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about my day of going to Madam Tussauds and seeing the 15th Doctor waxwork, as well as going to the Doctor Who BBC Proms for the first time in 11 years. I'll also be getting out my wax stand from Madam Tussauds and trying out the light for the first time. So without no further ado, let's get into it. With me being able to only go to the evening proms, which I'll get into more depth later, I decided why not kill two birds with one stone and go to Madame Tussauds during the day. Now I did leave plenty of time when I got on the trains. I got there quite early, just in case to allow myself time in case there's any problems with the trains, of course with it being a bank holiday. Luckily it ran smoothly and I got there on time. It did then mean I had an hour before I actually had to go to Madame Tussauds, so I just sat in the park for about an hour waiting. But yeah, so I decided to go with two looks actually for the day. So with the actual proms itself, I decided to go with this t-shirt, because I bought this a few months ago and I thought it'd be quite a cool t-shirt to wear, and I do really like it. And of course it's got the 10th Doctor and Rose, some of my favourite duos in Doctor Who, so I thought I'd wear that. And for the actual Madame Tussauds itself, I thought I'd wear this as well. It's quite unusual. It is a Cyberman hoodie, but also it does zip up all the way and you can actually become a Cyberman, which I thought was quite cool. So there's that, how it looks. I might do my videos like this in future. But no, it is quite cool, this one. I did have a lot of people looking at me because it does look quite unusual as well. But it is quite a cool hoodie, so I thought I'd change it up a bit, change up the looks and just sort of wear something different to both occasions. When it got a bit closer to the time, I thought I'd jump in the queue, and luckily the queue went down fairly fast. And just putting aside the Doctor Who related stuff for now, Madame Tussauds is absolutely worth it, especially if you book in advance and get certain times where it's £29 a ticket. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but I must admit it is absolutely worth it. I thought it would just be sort of wax figures and you just take pictures with them, but actually it's a bit more than that, which I was quite surprised at, luckily. Now there was this one part where you sort of got onto this sort of like taxi-like roller coaster, and it does sort of take you around all of England's history, from like Shakespeare and the Great Fire of London to the modern day, and that was completely unexpected, and I did love it because it was a bit more than just wax figures. It was light, it was smoke, it was sound, and there was just so much to it. I really did enjoy that part. And then sort of straight afterwards you're taken into the Marvel part, and you're put into this 4D cinema where you put on these 3D glasses, and then you'll have things like wind will rush past you, you'll be splashed with a bit of water, or like the seat will be nudging you. I must admit I didn't like the seat nudging bit, because at first I thought someone was kicking my chair, but aside from that I did absolutely love it. So there was all these things, and I thought if you were to do these things separate, there's no way it would come to £29. So if you can get the £29 ticket, it's absolutely worth going to Madame Tussauds, even if you're not going for the Doctor Who related thing, but of course that was what I was there for. Moving back to the waxwork figures, there's so many there, there's something for everyone, and there's quite a few faces that have appeared in Doctor as well, but of course I'm going to be talking about the Doctor Who waxwork itself, and it's absolutely brilliant how much effort they put into it, because of course you've got Ncuti, then you've got the TARDIS with the door slightly open so you can step into it slightly and take a picture inside it as well, but also you've got sort of the lights flickering behind it, you've got London, you've sort of got the street that they've made, and actually at certain times you could actually hear them playing the Doctor Who theme as well, so it was really cool. That was a nice addition I wasn't expecting. But it's really great because unlike other attractions, you're not restricted. You can actually step into the TARDIS and take the picture and stand right next to the 15th Doctor and take the picture. So that's really cool. And it was great to see other people taking pictures with the Doctor as well. He was a fairly popular one as well, so that was really lovely to see. But although I will say this, while I was there, a few people did actually sort of point out that they'd rather have David Tennant there, which I do disagree with, because although David Tennant is a popular Doctor, one, I personally think we've seen enough of him, and two, I think it should be the current Doctor. I feel like having the 15th Doctor there completely makes sense, so I do disagree with that. But yeah, it was lovely to see other people take pictures with him. I was there for a fairly long time because one, it's not something you get to do every day, and especially getting up that close to sort of like the TARDIS and that sort of waxwork. So I did spend quite a long time there, and it was just to make sure that I got the right pictures as well. Of course I did have this sort of like blurry vortexy one, which I do really like, so I did keep that one. But I was trying to make sure that all the pictures and videos come out correctly, because you sort of only get a one shot of this really if you're only going to go the one time. But because I was there going through the pictures and the videos, I'm not joking, two people at 2 different times thought I was a waxwork. The first man was trying to go behind me, so I stepped out the way. He was actually going behind me because he was trying to find out some information as to who I was and why I was there. But then he realised I wasn't a waxwork. And the second time, a bit later, was this little girl. She come up to me and looked at my phone, and I looked at her wondering, what were you doing? And then the mum started laughing because she was about to take a picture. So after the second person, I thought, yeah, maybe it's time to head off now. But I must have been standing that still. They must have thought I was a waxwork. But again, that's sort of probably credit to Madam Tussauds at how accurate they can make a waxwork, that they thought I was one. So yeah, after the second people, I thought, yeah, maybe it's time to head off and move on to the next thing. Now, early on is the 15th Doctor Waxwork, and there are a lot of other things to see in Madame Tussauds, like not only the things I mentioned earlier, but also the sort of horror side to it, with like Jack the Ripper and everything. So there are some really cool things to see in Madame Tussauds. But straight after the 15th Doctor is where you could get your hand waxed, and I really did want to go for it because one, it did really remind me of the Autons, and seeing as I was seeing the 15th Doctor, it just felt very fitting to get the hand. So I did go for it. It is £20 to get your hand waxed, or £29 with the light pod, and the light pod separately is normally £12, so it's got £3 off, so it's on a deal. So I thought, why not go for it? And I did decide to go for yellow because it was the closest colour they had, sort of that autumn hand colour. And then also the girl who was actually doing it for me, she was a big Doctor Who fan, so we got talking about that. And she persuaded me to do TARDIS blue for the tip of the hand as well, so I thought, why not? But the girl speak to her was really lovely. It was great to actually have her, because of course, I'd just seen the 15th Doctor, so to have that sort of conversation with her about Doctor Who was really cool. We talked about favourite sort of series. Her favourite series was Series 4 and Series 7. And her favourite companions were Sarah Jane, Clara, and Donna. And I was saying about how I was seeing Catherine Tate late that day at the BBC Proms, and I think of her. So it was lovely to sort of meet her and talk to her about those sort of things. And the hand did turn out like this. Again, it's the closest yellow they had to sort of an autumn sort of colour, and then of course the blue tip as well. I was actually going for the sort of like hand pose that sort of like the 12th Doctor would do, but it didn't really turn out like that. It did sort of turn out like how the hand was in the episode of Rose, so I'm quite pleased with that anyway. And of course as well, like I mentioned earlier, you do get the light pod as well, and you can actually turn on the light. And I have just seen a second ago, it does actually change colour as well, so it's quite cool. So you get all of that for £29, and I do think it's quite worth it. I'm going to pop it on, and I don't think you're going to... Yeah, I think you're going to have it in the dark. But I think when it's in the dark, it's actually going to look quite cool. So it is quite a cool thing. So I did get them all together, and I think it's just such a brilliant thing. And of course it's your hand, so it's quite unique as well. So I think both these things are really cool to have. So I thought absolutely I have to go for it. But yeah, it was great to have the hand wax as well. And the whole day at Madame Tussauds, I really actually enjoyed more so than I thought I would, just because of all those surprises. And of course, with it being so heavily Doctor Who related as well, more so than I was expecting, I was quite pleased. They even had like Doctor Who posters in the gift shop. So it is lovely to go to. So if you are sort of interested in Madame Tussauds, and of course if you're watching this I'm sure you're a big Doctor Who fan, definitely go for it, especially now because it is quite heavily Doctor Who related, and yeah, it's just very cool and a great day out, I must admit. After the event, I had a sort of quick cheeky Nando's, and it was great to catch up with the Olivers, of course my friend Eligi, who I've known for quite a while now, and who I haven't seen for 3 years, so although it was brief, it was lovely to catch up with him, and he did travel with me to the proms as well, which I was really happy about. I was sort of rushing and trying to get there because I didn't want to miss it, and luckily I got there with half an hour to spare, which I did need because it does sort of take a while sometimes to find your seat, to sort of work out which level you're on and where exactly to go. So do allow yourself plenty of time. But yeah, it was great to catch up with him, and it was lovely to see him again. Going to the prom after 11 years of it not being on was absolutely amazing. I have certainly learnt my lesson though for hopefully next year. Now, for example, queuing up to actually get into the prom sort of ticket event thing online, I will definitely at least queue an hour. I presumed, wrongly so, but I presumed that it would open at 9 and you could just get your ticket. People were already queuing before, so when I queued at 9, I still had to wait about an hour, and of course a lot of the tickets had gone by then. Thankfully I did manage to get a ticket. I did get my ticket for the evening show. I did actually want the day show, but I was just happy to get a ticket. I did pay £56, but I was quite pleased with my seat. But I think in future I'm going to definitely get on the website earlier. But also I'm going to try and get a ticket right next to the stairs, because of course that's where all the monsters come out. So I think it's so cool to actually have that sort of seat. So I'm definitely going to queue earlier, try and also get the day one as well, because I feel like more sort of well-known Doctor Who fans did go to that one, so I didn't see as many as in the late show as well, and it was quite a rush to the late show for me as well. So I feel like I'm definitely going to allow myself much more time for the proms next year, get an earlier one, get one next to the sort of stage. Not stage, but more, yeah, close to the stage, but also sort of like near the stairs to get to see the monsters. And also I'm going to get there early as well to get the programmes. Unfortunately, with the evening one, a lot of people never actually got to get the programme, which is such a shame because they had sold out. And they were £6, which was a fairly good price. I've seen on eBay because I did want to get one. At the moment, they're 28.70, so a bit more than the £6. But I'm definitely going to try and get one. But yeah, I've definitely learned my lesson for sort of next year, hopefully. But aside from that, it was great fun. I was more looking forward to seeing actually the 11th, 12th and 13th Doctor stuff. The 11th Doctor just to sort of have that nostalgia of the proms. And the 12th and 13th Doctor because we've never had the Capaldi or the Whittaker era at the proms. So I was really looking forward to seeing them at the proms because of course we've never seen it before. I would actually say I was more looking forward to that stuff than the new season stuff. Just because we've never sort of had it before and it was great to actually finally have it because I was wondering whether they'd ever do a proms again. So it was great to see that, and of course my favourite was the 13th Doctor, as the 13th Doctor is my favourite, and I did manage to get a sneaky picture as well because you weren't actually allowed to take pictures or videos, which I felt was a great shame, but I did manage to get a sneaky picture of that. And just as they were ending, a few people got out their phones, so I thought why not, I'll just get a sneaky sort of video of the end where all the monsters sort of come out and the music was playing, and it definitely was one of the highlights of the night. But talking about the new season stuff, they did have some great surprises as well, like having Anita Dobson come out in costume as Mrs. Flood and tease the audience. That was absolutely brilliant to see because that was completely unexpected, and to have her in character as well was just amazing, so I absolutely love that. And then we did actually get a video recorded from the 15th Doctor with new scenes where we had to actually fight Maestro, and Maestro did have new scenes as well, and we had to fight Maestro by sort of clapping and cheering. So that was really cool to see because it was like having your own sort of interactive Doctor Who episode, and to have Maestro return just completely makes sense because of course it's the proms, it's all about music and orchestras, so it was lovely to see and it was so fun, that bit, and I just thought that was such a lovely cool surprise. So having the new stuff there was absolutely brilliant, and to have Catherine Tate sort of present it was so cool as well because she was really funny. She'd often accidentally go off subject and sort of make mistakes and make jokes about it, like how she nearly called Ruby Sunday Ruby Tuesday and then she started talking about a makeup brand. A lot of it will be cut from the live broadcast, but it was absolutely hilarious, so it was lovely to have Catherine Tate do it because it just made that night just so much more funny and enjoyable as well. What was great about this one as well is they brought out so many monsters, and again it was like we were playing catch up but in a good way because we had sort of the classics, like we had the Silurians, we had the Jadoon, of course we had the Daleks which sort of announced the interval as well, but also you had stuff like the Cholders come out which was really great to see. Then you also had the Maya, you had the Cybermasters, the Foretold and the Peg Dolls come down my aisle as well, which was really cool, and I got a really nice shot of the actual Foretold just a few seats away from me. That's why I want the seats next to the stairs. So it is really cool. But yeah, really great to have all those monsters. There were so many. You had the Whispermen, you had the Ood at one stage. Literally, there were so many monsters there. I've probably missed out quite a few because there was quite a lot. Of course, you had the Silence as well. So again, there was so many there. But it was lovely to see, especially stuff like the Cybermasters and the Cholders, or the really sort of new stuff from the last few years. So it was really cool to see that. And I think the monsters coming out are the best thing about the event. And actually, the night goes so quick because you do enjoy it so much. I was watching some of the videos of, obviously they have the screens where they sort of play the videos, and you sort of get mesmerised and you sort of forget where you are. So it's just so mesmerising, it just goes so quick. So it was really enjoyable, and I really do hope they do one next year as well because they're just so enjoyable, and it should be a sort of like yearly event, or at least twice yearly or something like that. Sort of like once every 2 years, even twice a year would be cool to be fair. But yeah, it's just such a great night, a great event, and they just need to do so many more of them. But on the whole, it was really enjoyable, and I did absolutely loved it. I think next year when I sort of learn from the sort of mistakes that I did, I'm going to enjoy it a lot more. But again, it was such a lovely night regardless. Having Catherine Tate perform it, having the monsters, having the music, having the sort of the Capaldi and Whittaker stuff as well was just incredible. And actually Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat were in the audience, sort of at the top sort of middle, sort of where they face straight onto the audience. It's probably the best seats in the house, to be fair. So that was really cool. And of course Murray Gold and Sagan Akinola was there as well. So it was really great to see all of them there, and it was just such a lovely event, and yeah, really cool. And I think a lot of people had fun with it because it was absolutely amazing. Because it's about a 2 hour event, it does end at about 9 o'clock plus the 15-minute interval. So you do sort of leave at the dark, but it was quite cool to see the Royal Albert Hall in sort of lit up in the dark as well, so that was really cool. And trying to get on the bus was like a mad dash because everyone was trying to squeeze on. And then of course I did head home in the dark and got back quite late. But on the whole, the day was such a lovely time. I really enjoyed it. Madam Tussauds was so unexpected, and that's what I loved about it, just how much more it was than what I was expecting, so it was really cool to go to that. And of course, the proms, it was exactly what I was expecting. The monsters, the music, everything was amazing, and it was just such a lovely day. It was a very much a Doctor Who-y day, and I was very lucky to see 2 TARDISes, one at Madam Tussauds and then one at the Royal Albert Hall, so it was just such an amazing day, and I really did enjoy it, and it's a lovely memory as well. I just really want to get my hands on the programme when I can. But what I'd love to know is what you guys thought. Did you actually go? What did you think of these events? Have you ever been to Madame Tussauds as well? What did you think? Or did you want to go? Are you looking forward to going in the future? Let me know in the comments below because I'd love to hear it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and hopefully see you in my next video soon. Thank you for watching and take care.